Good evening, all. It's the fan phone in. Apologies, minor technical difficulties, but I think we have them all knocked on the old heads. With me, as always, back in the saddle. The first fan phone in about 2 months. It's my
Yeah.
co-host, fresh off the midweek catch-up. It's the wonderful Mark Ryman, and he's 40 years old today. Over the hill and far away. How are we getting on, Mark?
Yeah, I feel a little bit worse for wear. You could probably guess why, really. My wife got me a banner of any Peep Show fans, I know Ollie is, that said, "Mark, you are 40 years old" on it. So anyone who watches Peep Show will know the reference there, which I've enjoyed. So I'll have that up. Yeah, 2 months away, but it's like we've never been away watching that game, wasn't it, on Saturday? It feels very deja vu of some of the games this season. But yeah, anyway, got to forget it on Saturday night, so that was nice. Didn't have to stew on it too much. I could just focus on having a few drinks and a laugh, which was a pleasant relief. And I imagine the football will be one of the talking points, maybe not all of them. But considering my physical and perhaps mental state being slightly fragile today, definitely need the callers. So it's a good reminder for people to phone in, use the Discord link, get on. And do the hard work for us, really, because that's what this is all about, making sure that you've got a say. And if this week and the events of this week have taught us nothing, it is how important it is for fans to have a voice and a platform that isn't limited by others.
Yep. Free speech is really important as well. I put it. I actually made a point of saying that in the Twitter link and the Facebook link for this, and I think I put it in the description of the YouTube as well. I said we are the only podcast that give fans a voice, and it's a voice that is, a lot of people listen to it. You'll get maybe, I don't know, maybe 1,000 people will listen to you, and they'll mostly be Luton Town fans. So it's a good platform to get your thoughts across to others and even other people who might be listening. You never know, but it's a good way to vent. It really is. Right. Well, I was going to say any summarizing thoughts, but we've only just started, haven't we?
Well, no, but
Any
I know what you mean.
what's the word? The opposite of summary. Any preamble? Any
Yeah, that's
preambling
it. That's the
thoughts?
right
There we
word.
go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the one. Yeah, I mean, game wise, very similar to lots we've seen away from home. Just didn't have the fight. We got bullied. We got pretty much all over the pitch by a team that seemingly wanted it more. Yes, we had chances and we should have scored, but even so, I mean, it's a play-by-play. Teams, we've said this before for 2 years, Ollie, haven't we? That it must be so easy to play against Luton team at some points because you just know what's going to happen. You just put a high press in for 50 minutes, and we'll give you a goal. We will. We'll give you a goal, or we'll give you an opportunity. And to be fair to Plymouth, you know, they play with that. And I don't mean this disrespectfully at all, but we're not coming up against technically good footballing sides. We're really not. Cardiff, the only side that I've seen this season who I've thought technically look like a very good outfit. Everybody else have literally just outfought us, every single one of them. And I'm not having a go at that. That's how we got out of the Championship and made our way to the Premier League. So there's no criticism with that. But, you know, it's all of and that is what we're used to. As Luton fans, seeing from our team, just really quickly on my thoughts on sort of line up and how we played. I've seen lots of people say that they felt sorry for Bramall, including yourself, and I concur. I mean, the guy's probably been especially under Jack Wilshere, has been our best player, I would say, or most consistent. I mean, Walsh maybe as well, actually. But he offers you not just the pace down the wings, but also those set pieces as well. We get free kick and he's not on the pitch. It feels almost criminal that that's happened. And I feel sorry for him, but I also feel a bit sorry for Gideon Kadir because even though he was playing on the wrong side. He's been brilliant through the middle. And to chuck Casey Palmer after 2 days in there, yes, you and I both said in the Wednesday catch up that we're quite excited about the signing, but chuck him straight in ahead of Kadir in that position, who in the last two games has been our most dangerous midfielder. I just don't get it why you would do it. So I actually feel sorry for Gids a little bit there as well. I don't think Lawrence had the worst game for him. I think he's being unfairly judged on some of the decisions that are being made by Jack Wilshere, which is not his fault. He's a young, talented player, clearly, that's just come straight out from the academy, and it shows. But that's not his fault. That's then up to us to use him properly. And using him properly isn't starting against physical sides and playing him for 60 minutes where he can get bullied off the pitch. But I thought he did all right actually in the first half an hour. Thought his link-up play was good.
They figured him out.
Threatened.
Then they figured him out.
As every team has done so far. I think he's tired as well. I think fitness, he's not played a league game before. I think Virtue Trophy is the closest he's come to competitive football. So I think he's played in that. Please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but that's it. It's not the same in terms of that. So yeah, that was it was just really disappointing. It was kind of like the Stevenage first half, but for both halves really. And it was really predictable. We weren't ever going to score. It didn't feel like we were going to score, even though we created those chances. And the last 10 minutes, we didn't even look like we were trying. They were knackered, by the way. They were just hoofing the ball everywhere.
Yeah,
they looked
you saw
absolutely
Tolaj
shattered.
just sort of ambling upfield,
running in treacle.
Yeah, and we still couldn't dispossess him. We still couldn't do anything except foul him in a really dangerous position.
Yeah, and just give the ball back. So yeah, there's thoughts on the game of that really, and that's it. Other stuff that's happened this week, and obviously you've put the video out already. I encourage anybody watching, if they haven't seen Ollie's, I can't remember what it was called, a rant, whatever it was called.
I think a random rant is a new thing.
That's right. Yeah. Well, it's not a new thing for you, but we're just labeling it now. But yeah, no, I encourage anyone to watch it. It was put out towards the end of last week. So if you're not aware of the situation, I know, Ollie, you've spoken about it already, and I'm sure people have. Just my personal take on it. I mean, we text during the hiatus, and I said to you, look, at the moment, I just don't have the energy necessarily to come back straight away. By the way, that wasn't the reason we didn't. There were lots of other things going on behind the scenes to make sure that we could come back without technical difficulties every 5 seconds. But I was, like a lot of people, I was probably just a bit soul destroyed of keeping saying the same things. That's the right word. Yeah. Jaded. Yeah, exactly. Of saying the same things. And I think that, after this stuff has happened, I think it's so important that this podcast and the fan phone in particular as well gives people a voice, because it's clearly needed. And you cannot try and limit free speech of people of the club and call yourself a fan of the club as well. That's all I'll say. You can't do both of those things. You're either a fan of the club and therefore you allow views that you might discord from your own, or you're not a fan of the club and you're a fan of your own legacy, wallet, whatever it might be. That you can't be both. You cannot be both. And yeah, it's in a world where lots and lots of people in power are trying to limit free speech, it just feels like an echo chamber at Luton as well. It's sad times. And I think that the work that you've done and Hatters Heritage have done is brilliant, and it should be recognised for that rather than the other way around. But yeah, there we go. That's my thoughts. Everyone can disagree. I disagree with Ollie on a weekly basis. I don't think there's been a single phone in where we haven't disagreed, by the way.
So we haven't split.
You're allowed to
we're
disagree.
Big men. We're big men, like you have an opinion, I have an opinion. They're often different. And we just get on with it. And then, when we see each other at the football, we sit together and we enjoy 90 minutes of football together.
Well, I wouldn't say the football, but we enjoy
each other's company. Yeah, there's no enjoying the football.
Not at the moment, no. But exactly that. And that's called being a football fan. And maybe some people need to take a little bit of a step back and look at themselves. Right. Yeah. That's me done.
Right. Yeah. Apologies to the people waiting in the green room.
Sorry.
No. We will get to you guys. As always, just a quick shout to everyone in the comments. Good evening, everyone. Loads of comments. Yeah, it's good to be back. Lewis M. Yeah, great to see you both. Great to see you at games as well, Luigi. It's been good. David Coop, welcome back to the family phone in. I hope it's the same old faces, same old technical difficulties, and a rant or two. Yeah, well, we got one rant out of the way just now, didn't we, Ryman?
Here's an old face.
Burley, happy birthday, Mark. You'll be getting loads of will making emails now. Yeah.
Oh, cheers. Yeah,
and
thanks for that,
reminders to get your prostate checked as well, I bet. Yeah. Lots of people saying
I'll
happy
leave that
birthday,
there.
Mark, which is absolutely lovely. Loads of comments. Keep your comments coming in. It absolutely top stuff. Here's what, before we bring the next guy. Well, Mark Cheatham says, "Miss you guys. Welcome back." Paul Lewis, old 9KS says, "Shunting Kajua, Clark, and Bramall around our three best players to accommodate Lawrence and Palmer is brainless."
I disagree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's offensive to Bramall, who's been, one of our best players this season. Just to,
Sure.
put him on the bench. Unfair. Really unfair. Right. So let's see how this works. So we're doing this without Kate doing the bits and pieces. So I think it's going all right so far. The audio levels seem all right. I'm coming in mono, I believe. And we should have Peter A in the chat right now. Good evening, Peter A. I won't use your full name just in case it is used against you. Plus, I'm a big fan of Severance right now.
Yeah, how you doing, guys?
Yeah, doing good, mate. Doing good. Just not using your last name, just in case you happen to have your season ticket taken away from you. Unfortunately, it doesn't work for me because I'm Ollie K, whether you like it or not.
No, well, yeah, it's probably best because I've got a lot to say. I mean, I've been supporting this club since 1972. And like you guys, I absolutely love it. But I just do not understand what is going on at our football club at the moment. I mean, the guys at the top, through to the management, through to all the staff, it seems like there's so many non-footballing people running the football club. And Saturday just highlighted that for me. The best three players at the club at the moment, and we can all see it, are Bramall, Clark and Kajua. Yet Wilshere decides to play Kajua in no man's land out on the left wing, where all his best play has been produced from the right-hand side or playing a more central role. He plays Clark alongside Walsh in a more passive role in favour of Palmer, who's never kicked a ball for the club. And then Bramall is sat on the bench collecting splinters again, all to accommodate Lawrence, who, because he's a product of Man City's academy, is heralded as the new Lionel Messi. I mean, Lawrence looks like what he is. He looks very similar to Chong and Izzy Brown. He's got a wiry physique. He's got a flashy step over, and he may well develop into a good player. But in League One, where you've got to roll your sleeves up, yes, play a bit of football, but you've got to put in the hard graft as well. He's not ready for that. And unfortunately, the football that these kind of academies now produce is boring to watch. I want to see my wingers getting paint on their boots, hugging the touchline, attacking fullbacks, not cutting inside and playing a little 5-yard pass along the middle of the park. And it just didn't work. We were totally unbalanced on Saturday, and it made Kajua and Clark totally ineffective in that game. I mean, a blind man could see at half-time that we needed to replace Lawrence, bring on Bramall, who's probably the best crosser of the ball at the club, and move Kajua into a more central role, or coming in off the right where he scored all his goals. I mean, Chris Powell must be able to see this from the touchline. But he never seems to be in Wilshere's ear. He never seems to be advising him. And, it's Wilshere's first job, and he looks like a rabbit caught in the headlights all the time. I mean,
a lot of the time, sorry to cut in, do you find his post-match interviews, to compare it to Nathan Jones's, where Nathan Jones's have been going around again today, his post-Millwall one, where he's digging everyone out. He's literally digging everyone out. Whereas Wilshire's all about, it's moments. We could have won that.
Yeah,
Could have won this.
yeah. For him to come out and say, I think we did enough to take all 3 points is an absolute piss take. I just don't understand it. He's not employed to be a HR manager. He's employed to be a football manager. And sometimes you've got to make big decisions. And at half time on Saturday, he should have made that decision. Irrespective of whether he shatters the kid's confidence, he's employed to win us football matches. Yeah, it's become blatantly obvious to me as well that Anderson and Naismith can't play as a pair together. I mean, they're so poor at the back. There's gaps all over the park. Makoso's probably the best centre half at the club. He's quick on the turn. He can head a ball. He can put in a tackle. And that's all I want my centre halves to do. I'm not bothered if they can knock a 40-yard ball like Glenn Hoddle. That's not what I'm interested in. I don't pay £500 a year to watch my centre half passing the ball across the back four every Saturday. It's boring to watch. Absolutely boring to watch. But that aside, the club itself, I think at the moment it's the worst atmosphere and structure from top to bottom I've ever witnessed at the club, even through the conference years. The club seems to be transfixed on the new stadium being the saviour for the club and that we'll have a Premier League product, but they've got the whole dynamic of the town wrong. I'm a Lutonian. My parents were, my grandparents were. The demographic has changed, but the club don't see it. Most fans now, I would argue, probably travel into Luton to watch games rather than living in the town. Many household names no longer trade out of Luton. Luton's, I wouldn't say an affluent town. It's got a densely populated Muslim community and their culture is not centred around going to the football every Saturday. In fact, cricket's probably their number one sport. So the average Luton fan won't be buying these luxury corporate hospitality boxes and all this sort of stuff that they're offering, when we get to the new stadium. They're offering Premier League prices at for a League One product. The new fan engagement brochure, what a load of crap that is. If
You
the
read
club
it?
really wants...
I didn't. I didn't bother reading it because I was busy resigning from Hatters Heritage that day.
It's a joke. I mean, if the club really wanted to engage with the fans, it should have more transparency about transfers and the new stadium, and it should be offering more to the fans who have supported them through thick and thin, like mascots, £400 for a mascot package. I mean, there's not many families that can afford that in this day and age. I know Premier League clubs who offer that for nothing and they go into a ballot.
It used to be like that.
That's how I got to be a mascot.
I didn't get to be a mascot, and I'm angry about that. I went into the ballot every year. But
all of these non-footballing people at the football club at the moment that are making decisions and looking at players based on stats rather than actual talent, it's a complete waste of time. I mean, I'd rather watch Matt Letizia for 5 minutes on a Saturday do something magic than watch a player who continually knocks the ball 5 yards across the pitch. Yeah, and I think I speak for all the Luton fans, all the fans around me, and all my friends who are Luton Town fans feel the same way. I mean, it's almost getting to the point where I can take it or leave it wherever I go, and I don't want to feel like that as a Luton fan. I've never felt like that as a Luton fan.
It's becoming. You're right. It's becoming a chore, isn't it, to go?
Yeah. I mean, the other week I went to Milton Keynes shopping because I didn't fancy it.
It's a good shopping centre, to be honest. That it is massive as well.
But my club shouldn't make me feel like that.
No, I know.
Some really good points. I had some really good points, and I to Pete, you may have seen or not. But Ollie and myself been nodding along to most of the stuff that you were saying there. I think there's some really good points made. I mean, on the footballing side, I think you're right in terms of Mads and Naismith. I've spoken about Mads and what he does well and how that's limited. I thought he had a really poor game on Saturday. I'm not gonna try and dress it up, but you're absolutely right. It's okay if Naismith for example, is playing those passes when we're 3-0 up, etc., and we've got a tight defence and we don't concede goals, but they're forgetting to do the basic stuff. And I was saying it earlier about how there's a playbook for Luton Town. Well, the playbook for Luton Town, when Naismith and Mads are in central defence, is hit it over the top of them and run, because you are not going to get caught by either of those. And if Tolaj hadn't been running on one foot for the last 20 minutes, he'd have scored at least a hat-trick.
Yeah,
So yeah, completely agree on that front.
I mean,
Interestingly, sorry, I was just going to mention the interview thing, because you mentioned about Jack Wilshere's post-match as well. We've had 3 managers now in the last 2 seasons, and you could argue the same thing with all of them. So there's a commonality, right? We just on the last manager really quickly. He's just won away from home at Leicester with Oxford, in his third game in charge. Don't think he's lost. Unbeaten in 3, drew the first 2. There you go. So, yeah, I think we all knew this anyway, but I don't think it's just the manager that's the issue here.
What did Brian Clough say to his players? Win the ball and give it to the little fat fellow on the left-hand side and let him do the rest. I mean, you give it to players who can play. You don't ask your centre-halves to play it out from the back. I mean, I don't care if we play long ball and play 4-4-2 and go old school. If we're winning football matches, I'm quite happy. But I don't want to watch this possession-based, boring, academy-style football. And we're not good enough to do it. League One, you've got to roll your sleeves up. Lincoln City, for example, they're capable of playing some nice football. But a lot of the guys were saying, well, they're like a rugby team.
Yeah.
Well, great. I want my teams to have a bit of that. I want them to be able to wrestle their way out of League One. I don't think Luton are capable of doing that.
Well, no, because we don't have any, other than our centre backs, other than our back line, the rest of our team aren't over 5'10". They're all tiny.
Yeah.
They're all tiny. They don't win their headers. Like Naki Wells, he's up against a 6'5" defender every other week.
The Jokeneer team had
Howard, Nico, Coyne, Perrett. All of them.
Recently we've had people like McCormack and Lansbury, people who can put themselves about a bit, roll the sleeves up. We haven't got any of that in the side at the moment.
Well, that's what we got Savlin to do, didn't we? But clearly he's been, for my money at least, has been very, very poor over the last couple of months as well.
Okay, sorry. My opinion on that is because we're asking him to do everything. He's not a box to box. You want him to sit in front of the defence and break up play, and we're asking him to do what Liam Walsh is doing. The little intricate tippy tappy, this and that. We're making it far too complicated.
Like we seem to have this habit.
Game.
Yeah, we seem to have this habit of turning good players into poor players at the moment. I mean, Yates, how he's a professional footballer on what I've seen is beyond me. He has got the worst movement of a centre forward I think I've seen in the last 10, 15 years. I mean, he makes all the wrong runs. When the ball does get to the byline, he's not checking his run to gain a yard of space. He's just not doing any of the basics. So what are the coaching staff doing?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more on that one. His running the box is so frustrating because you see so many good balls go in and you just, is crying out for a striker to be at the front post. And he's never there. He's always a yard behind the play. You just know it's going to happen as well when he's on the pitch.
He's run the other way. He does
he's
that.
Gone somewhere else.
Actively avoids the ball, in my opinion.
I don't know whether I should feel sorry for him or just, somebody needs to get hold of him on the training pitch, put an arm around him. I don't know what, but it's just like he's become a poor player overnight as well. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's, you put a Luton shirt on and all of a sudden you're asked to do things that you've never done before. There's something inherently wrong with the setup at Luton Town. And I don't know if that comes from the very top or whether it's just sort of siphoning all the way through the club. But there is something not right. The balance is not right.
Yeah.
And they can say as much as they like about, well, when we get the new stadium, we'll have a Premiership product. Well, you'll have another Milton Keynes on your hand where you got 5,000 people rattling around in a 30,000-seater stadium if you're not careful. all the investment is coming from out of the town as well. Local business is being pushed out. And for them to say, we're a club that thinks about the fans and we're Luton people, it's utter rubbish. Utter rubbish.
Well said.
Yeah, absolutely right. It's been like that since we came down from the Premier League, isn't it? And whether that's a structural change at the top where people aren't being kept in as much check as they were, or now there's more of a license to do things because of the Premier League money, whatever it is that's caused that to happen, it's become more and more obvious. And look, you're right, Pete. Players come here and it just seems to be that their shoulders slump so quickly. Naki Wells said it in an interview, didn't he? That after the penalty miss that he had against Port Vale or whoever it was, that he was at rock bottom. I mean, it's Naki Wells, who's played God knows how many years at Championship level and scored lots of goals.
Missed loads of
He
penalties.
did. You're right. He has.
No,
but
I mean
he's scored
in
lots
his
of goals.
career. I mean, not
Yeah,
just
no, I
this
know what you meant.
season. Yeah,
I know what you
he
meant.
should be
He
able
has.
to pick himself up from that.
But that's right, and you're a striker. I get that it's a confidence game, but that worries me. I think Carlton Morris should be legally obliged to come back and talk about what those 7 reasons or whatever they were. He said in the interview post West Brom, I don't care who he's playing for. He needs to come back and tell us what all those reasons were, because as Pete said, it feels like there's something that hasn't shifted despite the change in the entire squad nearly and the managers.
Yeah, no, 100%. Pete, you've been a fantastic caller.
Yeah, great call.
Yeah, you're welcome to come back anytime, mate.
No, thanks, guys. Well, I'll have a lot more to say, no doubt, as the season goes on. So yeah, I'll come on again and have another chat.
Yeah, amazing. Please do. Have a good evening and happy Monday for tomorrow, mate.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Come on, you Hatters.
Yes.
Come on.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Well, what a caller to kick us off. That was fantastic.
Yeah, brilliant. I think he put it really well. Pretty much summarised what most of us are probably thinking as well when it comes to on and off the ball. But yeah, there's a few here, if you don't mind. Hitesh Patel, I'm a bit behind on the stream, but I think we're overcomplicated this league. We've sort of talked about that already. Jack is overthinking. Get the ball forward, use the wingers into a target man, buy a right back. Yeah, please buy a right back. That'd be nice. So yeah, I think, and then in every league away game since, including Barnsley, we've had 2/3 of possession, yet barely any goals. That's it. So whether it's overcomplicated, overthinking, or just, not having the people who are, willing to take a shot and likely to score in the positions they should be. Yeah, all of those things probably.
Yeah, here's one from Burley. Good big midfielders get picked up by champ clubs. As soon as we got relegated, our choice of good big midfielders was severely reduced. Well, we got Saville. Tyree Bakinson, he's still rattling rounds.
He's big as well now.
Yeah, he's big boy.
Yeah.
There are
is he
plenty.
now? We played him the other week.
Yeah, we did. Stevenage. No, Wickham. There are plenty of big, sort of mobile central midfield. We have Marvin Akamba that we don't play. As long as we tell him not to get involved with the play and just break up play, sort of act as a defensive midfielder. That sounds like a good position, doesn't it?
For me, though, it's not just all about physicality. It's not just the physicality as in literally how big you are. It's the bit between your ears as well and having a bit of fight. And it just feels like
tenacity.
It's that. Yeah, exactly. I don't, you don't need to be bloody massive in order to compete. We've got big players. We've got Nigel Longwick. He must be the biggest player in the entire football league. I know he's not he's not played midfield yet, but he's
stick him at right back.
He might do. Yeah, well, quite. And that's the problem. I think I said to you or on the group chat, I still have no idea whether he's a good player or not, because he's not playing in the position he should be playing in consistently. He's not a good right back. I could tell you that, but he isn't a right back. But for me, it's that fight more than anything. It's not just the size of the players. I agree, Clark and Walsh are kind of extremes, but yeah, it's just a lack of fight and like naivety. Like we weren't expecting it. How are we not expecting it? It's happened to every single game. We get bullied off the pitch for the first 20-25 minutes, and we seem to then just go, oh, actually, maybe we have to, come on, how have we not worked this out? Anyway, I'm not going to rant again.
Well, from Harvey Turan as well. Tyree Bakinson's at Leyton Orient. I knew it was a recent.
It's one of the
game.
most ones.
It was
Yeah.
one of the games where
Very
we smashed
We
the
played well.
team. Yeah, we played well.
Yeah.
Wickham, you know, their
First half.
goalkeeper was man of the match. Just saying.
Yes, for
Yeah.
us. No,
Yeah.
just
yeah. Yeah, then what happened afterwards? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, obviously we just don't like Land's End. Did I get my geography right there? Yeah. 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 Thank you. Thank you. I've been brushing up on my geography. Yeah. Paul. Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, good thing we're not doing like the League One or Championship show anymore because my geography was terrible. Paul Lewis says everyone can see we need a striker and a right back. Can we bring in? And we bring in more wingers. How many more wingers do we need to cross to our 5'4" strikers? Yeah. Brian Gambrell says we'll be in League One next season, 100%. I don't disagree. And Stevie Kilgore, I'm still fed up after that result. Apparently, we need patience with Al-Hamadi and Eli. I think we've been pretty patient as a fan base. Also, where is all the money? Yeah, so essentially, the only money we're going to be spending is those that we can save on wages by the looks of things. Because we just bring in loans, 2 loans. I know this window is a very tricky one, but when we spend money, we spend it so poorly. So poorly. The latest being Jerry Yates. Yeah. Well, it's all been sort of ring fenced for the stadium, but if they had told us that would have been acceptable, in my opinion. But apparently the sound has gone. Has the sound gone? Has the sound gone? Oh. No? Okay. Yeah. On my end, it looks like the sound is still there. Pretty sure. Oh, your sound's gone. That's interesting. Yeah, your sound is not here. You talk, Ryman. Let's see what happens. Yeah, you're talking, but it's not coming through. Can't hear Mark. There we go. Yeah. Look, it's always the case, isn't it? Audio input capture, doing this again. Yeah, this is frustrating. This is why it's good to have a what's his name? Someone who can do the old do all this stuff like while we're on the the technicals. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, well, Ryman is currently saying how Mads Anderson is was the man of the match, and how he absolutely adores Gary Sweet. Oh yeah. Oh, apparently Gary Sweet muted Mark. Hmm. I honestly don't know what's happening with this. It's very frustrating. I'm getting very squeaky with this. Yeah, okay. Let's bring him in. Well, yeah, he's on Discord as well, so it's it's not going to work for him either, is it? Yeah, exactly. His audio isn't coming through either. Ah, fantastic. Okay, well, how about now? Yeah, I think you have been removed from the so that's audio capture 4. Um I want audio capture 5 to be gone. Um yeah. I'm just talking about what I can see currently. So audio input capture, okay. And I know that is incorrect. I'm talking my way through this. Okay, Mac OS audio capture. Yes. Okay. I will do that. You guys. I'm glad I'm like Partridge. I'm glad I'm amusing you. My stress is amusing you right now. What audio input capture? Media source? Is it media source? Like yeah, aha! No, and the thing is, everyone listening to this, they have, they have no idea what's actually going on right now. So, no, why can't? Why? This is so frustrating. This is so frustrating right now. Add source. Okay, depreciated. I'm going to go audio output capture. No. Okay, let's try this. No. And I don't even have a technical difficulties button. Oh, I do. Should I hit the technical difficulties? Might as well. Guys, we shall be right back. Go on progress. Here we go. Okay, guys. Are we
Yes.
back?
Are we back?
I think we're back.
Let's go.
I think we're back. And you know
Let's go,
what?
let's go.
We dropped 200 frames in that time. 0.3% of the frames have been dropped.
Oh, here we go.
During that time.
That'll get people
Oh
back.
yeah, David Coop with have you tried turning it off and on again? Yeah, tried turning it off and on again. Right. Well, we are back, I believe. Everyone
I hope
give
you
us
all
a thumbs up if we are back.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Yeah.
I hope you all enjoyed Ollie's technical talk-throughs. They were great. Brilliant. Always.
We are both
Always
in
filthy.
stereo rather than mono. Okay, that one I can figure out. I think I'm in stereo, aren't I? I think so. Hang on.
Right.
Audio.
If you can hear us, that's the main thing, right?
Yeah. Hey man, look at me rocking out. I'm on the radio. Boom. I think that's all that. Yeah, there we go. We should all be back to stereo, rocking out on the stereo. Right. Burley saying he never got the PowerPoint press out. PowerPoint. I can do PowerPoints. Right. Yeah, so we're back, aren't we? And we have our next caller in. And if you want to call in, please feel free. The description to the Discord chat is in the description of the video, and also it might be in the comments. I have no idea anymore. But yeah, check it out in the description below the video if you want to get on after our next caller, which is Simon M, continuing with the Severance motif to protect our anonymity.
You might need to change your Discord and Twitter handle now again, so I'm afraid. Just based on the events of the last week. But that's all I'll say.
Go on, Si, what you got to say, mate?
First off, happy birthday, Mark. It is
Thanks.
good to talk to you guys again. I'm really glad that this forum is back, because I've always thought that this phone-in was important, no matter how many people had issues with whatever, who's running what, etc. I feel it is important that people have an outlet to say what they think about the club. And that's not even necessarily me. I go on Twitter. Everyone knows what I think about what's going on at Luton Town. So I just want to jump in today. I'm not even going to go into the match right now, because we've had this conversation 5 million times in the past, and we'll be beating a dead horse, right? So I want to lead with this quote by Gary Sweet, right? This was in June 2025, right?
Oh, no.
And it said,
okay, June 2025. Did you hear in my post-match where I went all the way back to December 2024? Talking about how we will translate the home form to away. Go on then. Let's hear this quote.
Let's read this out, right? Because it will get into my main issue with what's going on, right? Gary Sweet said, "We're excited to announce this new development in our recruitment structure and believe we have a team that combines intricate knowledge with a sharp eye for emerging talent. Yusuf, Jay, Mark and Mick all bring unique skills to the table, and together they will help us identify the kind of players who fit not just our football philosophy, but also our values as a club. Both Jay and Yusuf have demonstrated their value over recent months, as they have spearheaded our recruitment since January, and they deserve the opportunity to lead in our squad restructure," right? So let's dwell on this for a minute, and let's see what they've done to restructure Luton Town Football Club as endorsed by Gary Sweet, right?
I love this. You sound so prepared.
They brought in Jerry Yates. Jerry Yates is a shadow of a footballer. People from Swansea were saying, look, he's finished. This guy can't play football anymore, right? We've brought him in for a reported 7-figure fee, £1 million, whatever that may be. And he has repaid us by being completely useless. Utterly useless. So then let's move on to Naki Wells. I haven't got that much of an issue with Naki Wells as I do Jerry Yates. I think Wells can contribute in the build-up play, but in that same way, he's never winning the ball with the way that they want to progress up the field. He is 5'8". He's lacking confidence. You just have to look at the Plymouth game where he's dragging those shots wide. He's burying them at Bristol City. I'm very sorry. So we are not working to the strengths of the players that this recruitment team has said they are going to bring in. For a start, George Saville. I like George Saville. I think George Saville is good at what he does when he's doing what he's good at, which is sitting in front of a defence and breaking things up. You're asking George Saville to play like a playmaker. You're asking him to start moves like Ross Barkley. He's never, ever, ever going to be capable of that, ever. Liam Walsh, I like Liam Walsh. I do think that he maybe shouldn't get into it as much with fans as he does, but hey-ho, I don't mind personality in footballers. Let's get to this. Yusuf Sajid is not the man to bring success back to Luton Town's recruitment. Whatever happened to eyes on players? I have had it up to here with this data-driven recruitment policy that has absolutely engulfed this football club. And if you dare question that philosophy, you are labelled as a heretic. You are pushed away from anything to do with the club. You are ridiculed by those close to those in power at the club. And by those in power, I do primarily mean Gary Sweet. I have bitten my tongue so much this season. People might disagree, but I have. I could have been at this every single week. But Gary Sweet, I believe, has such a stranglehold over Luton Town Football Club now, even more so since the Premier League, that he's completely unwilling to listen to reason that is not his vision. Whatever Gary Sweet's vision is now, because half the time he's over at Power Court, which I've got no issue with. Stay at Power Court, Gary. Please do. But let us bring some competent people into this football club who are going to get actual eyeballs on players at different clubs to bring in the right type of players that we need, because it is a monumental failure. The money that has been wasted is astronomical, and staying in League One could cripple this football club for a very long time. And people need to realise this before they say, oh, well, you know, we're progressing in other ways. We're going to get the stadium. The stadium's irrelevant if we are stagnant in League One. And that's my soapbox for now.
Fair enough. Can I play devil's advocate really quickly on this? And I don't necessarily believe it, but, you know, some might say, with the signings, let's go with that side. I'll take Yates and Wells. And like I said, I don't disagree really. But from a devil's advocate point of view, when we signed those players, I think, I know Ollie and myself spoke about Yates. Maybe both of us were quite optimistic that that would be a good signing as a number 9. I certainly saw it as one. The last time he was in League One was for Blackpool. He played well. Yes, Derby fans didn't score for them much, did he? And then
So he scored 10 goals last season.
Yeah, he's 10 goals last season. Yeah, but same for Wells. We thought, yeah, he's old. That's going to be the biggest problem there. I hope he's not our number 9. But I don't think anyone was necessarily turning around saying they're terrible signings. They're signings of people that we heard of, and we needed to replace a striker, so that's why we went with sort of championship quality. As I say, I'm playing devil's advocate, so the club might turn around and say, look, you know, data has suggested that they're good strikers at a higher level, and realistically, you're not going to get better than that in League One. And there probably would have been more of an uproar if we'd have signed a relative, maybe unknown. I take points that Lowe ended up going to Stockport, and there were plenty of other rumours doing the rounds that were in for people. I think that generally people were calling for, but I guess on the signings, it's that argument. Maybe what is that a fair point? Again, I don't necessarily agree with it. I just thought I'd mention it.
I just think that the club have become utterly blinded by data and pieces of paper and meetings about these numbers on pieces of paper. Like someone just said here, I'm going to address it. He said, we have got good scouts and also Mick Harford. Mick Harford is barely involved in scouting now. He's doing ambassadorial stuff more than he's doing anything. He's over at the Ashes in Australia, mate, when that's going on. He hasn't got his eyeballs on players at his age, and it would be unfair of us to expect Mick Harford to be carrying the weight of that as a lead scout right now. We have supposedly brought in this crack team of talent identification that is failing, and I'm not happy about it because money's being drained.
Again, look, I don't disagree with it. I think it's a difficult one with the recruitment because, we all know that financially, at least, my biggest problem is on top of the scouting, I guess, is the negotiation issue. We're losing out on players not necessarily because we're not identifying them. I think we are identifying some good players, but we're not signing them because we're refusing to pay the money that they're asking for. And since we've come down from the Premier League, this has been the issue. We've lost out on good players because of the whatever suite called the agents. You tell me, Ollie, you'll know. But whatever. I think that's part of the problem as well. I think we're finding the players. We were in for Tom Cannon. We've been in for. I think none of these were a secret. We were in for the lad that ended up going to Sheffield United and then has gone back again. Aston Villa Loney again, midfielder, but we were in for all of these players that we could all see a good talent. So maybe some of the scouting is the issue, but actually the negotiation, the bit behind the scenes, it all draws back to the same person. And again, I'm not saying it's all just. I don't want to be lazy and go, it's all that person all the time. But we are clearly identifying good players and losing out time and time again to clubs. And I'm sorry, but we should have as a bigger draw as Stockport. I know Stockport have got money. I know they've got money but we've got parachute payments from the Premier League. We've just come down from there as well. I don't see how we should be losing players to the likes of Lincoln and Stockport in this league. I really don't. But so that's in addition, maybe, or another point on it as well.
One more. I just want to address one more comment that's just come in from Burley. He says, you want good players, you need money. In 2 years, we won't have enough, hence why Power Court is important, so that we can compete in the transfer market. It's not all doom and gloom. You do realise, mate, that the stadium actually has to be full to benefit from that increased capacity at all to begin with. And 23,000 people are not going to fill Kenilworth Road if we are stuck in League One. It's really as simple as that.
It's just about middle ground, isn't it? It's about knowing and respecting the supporters now to know that yes, we all know the stadium is important. We've known this for 70 odd years since we've been planning applications, been going in since the 1950s. There's no Luton Town supporter that knows that we cannot sustain Kenilworth Road. We all know that. We're all aware of that, and we were all over the moon in 2016 or whenever it was when Power Court finally got granted. That's fine. And as Ollie said, that if there's a bit more transparency about, okay, well, this is the situation with it, that would have helped. But you cannot, as you say, Si, then completely forego everything else on the footballing side of things. And, eyes off the ball has been the commonality for the last 2 years, whether it is in recruitment, whether it is in financial side, the running day-to-day running the club. You've got important board members suddenly stepping down that have been a massive part of 2020 all the way through their stewardship, with very little to no explanation as to why that is. You had our commercial director who came in for 5 minutes and now has sodded off to the Middle East, and it just feels completely chaotic. So yes, I think it's just that middle ground. We don't expect us to be throwing around huge amounts of money. It's not that, but football on the pitch. Football that we watch in front of us over the next however many seasons needs to also be in the plans and priorities of those that run in the club. Because if it's not, as you say, Si, it won't just be League One football. It could be even worse.
I leave you on one final statement for tonight. Could the people involved at the top of Luton Town Football Club, if you could please worry more about what's happening on the pitch and not who trustees are of voluntary organisations dedicated to building the history of the club and making it accessible to everybody, that would be wonderful. Thank you very much, guys.
Just like, thanks, mate.
Yeah, a lot of points. A lot of points.
A lot of points. A lot of points. And there's a fair bit of chat in the comments. I think there is a middle ground there. There is. And I stand by the point that we would have had our eye on lots of good players as well. And they're not getting over the line. I'm sure that is part and parcel of it as well. So yeah, Burley's point has already been read out by Si, so I'm not gonna read it again. Mark Tracy was brought in as head scout. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the
So
Luton
obviously
fan
that was,
as well
yeah,
from
that's
Luton.
right. Yeah, that's where Mick Harford stepped back to is now his current role, which is absolutely fine. I think we needed a bigger setup than that anyway, so that's okay. But again, I think it's difficult to pin everything on scouting. I'm not suggesting we. This is the one that's difficult. I don't know how you feel about it, Ollie. I just think we don't know who they've identified as a club. We've no idea of the players that they want to get in. It's then up to the club to get those players in. All we know is the players that we do get in over the line, or maybe those that are very strongly linked or get to a point of, I nearly said get to a point of having a medical, but once you get to that point at Luton Town, it really doesn't matter as long as you've got 2 legs.
Well,
You're
even that
generally
won't
no, exactly. So yeah, it is difficult to be able to, in my opinion anyway, I think it's quite difficult to be able to judge the scouting side of it because we just know next to nothing about who we've identified. What I think is up for debate is, how much say, control, whatever, your current coaching and management staff have, which clearly has shifted around a little bit, certainly since Nathan Jones and probably since Rob Edwards as well.
Well, a big part of it was Nathan Jones. He had his PowerPoint, the famous PowerPoint, where he'd essentially just run through how firstly he'd start by saying, remember, this was in League Two. He'd tell players, look, we're going to be in the Championship. I see you as a Championship player. We are going to be in the Championship. You're going to be playing in the Championship. And that, yeah, regardless of the fact that he jumped ship before we actually got promoted to the Championship, he could sell a dream. And he was the one that directed the recruitment in that time. And we've lost a lot of that. I think there are some players that Bloomfield probably directed. The likes of Longwick, who he worked with at Wickham, and Kajua, who he worked with at Wickham. But there are obviously some that were data-led signings as well. Going back to Shannon Baptiste, I think he was a data-led signing. There are a lot more as well. Liam Walsh might have been a data-led signing, but sometimes it works. Bramall could have been a data-led signing.
Yeah.
It's one of those where it's like, I know he has his injury track record, but if we can get him fit, and that's a big if, he will be an asset to us. He will, because he puts in X amount of crosses into the box. He's a forward passer. He's a progressive player. He wins this many tackles. Funnily enough, it's worked with Liam Walsh because he's been very consistent this year. He hasn't been this year.
Yeah.
He hasn't been getting red cards. Last season, how many games has he missed from red cards? Like 10? And he missed a couple.
But we didn't.
He missed one with a freak injury that he got on the training ground.
Yeah.
But Shannon Baptiste on the other end of the spectrum has been pound for pound one of the worst signings in the history of Luton Town Football Club. Sadly.
Yeah, exactly.
And, he's a good player. He is a baller. He can play. But
just us Oxford fans, they're desperate for him to come back to them. But look, I think just on Walsh is exactly the point that's been going on in the chat as well about future versus present argument that's going on here, is that Liam Walsh typifies it. Liam Walsh was not signed to be a good League One player. Liam Walsh was signed to help our creative midfield for us to get up the league in the Championship. And if it takes players a year or however long it's been. Yeah, a year. So we signed him in January, didn't we? Was it January? No, summer. Maybe longer. I can't remember.
Well,
It's all blurred in. Yeah, was he summer or January?
He signed just after the... he was a free agent, signed just after the summer window.
Sure. So, but we didn't spend longer than a year for that player to now come out. And yes, Liam Walsh at the moment is our most important player, but it can't take a year because of all the things that have been said. You can't just afford to do that. I mean, one of the points that's made here, just add on to that, sorry to cut you off, Ollie, I'll quiet after this, but yeah, Burley, just one point here, that Prem money won't last. We paid off 2 managers, we still have 2 years of good high wages to pay, more
Prem
than we paid.
gone.
Yeah, sure, fine. And I take that point to an extent, but the reason we've had to pay off two managers is because of arguably just not keeping our eye on the ball. You might argue that that's football. Some things work out and some things don't, which I would say is the case for things like transfers, right? But things like that Shandon Baptiste transfer would have been okay if it was a bit of a punt on top of a few other midfielders that we've signed. We've been crying out for fullbacks for 3 windows and we still haven't signed them. There are obvious things that the club has taken the eye off the ball with, and it's cost us, and it's cost managers their jobs, and it's cost us players and good players as well. So we have been spending a lot of
Rob
money.
Edwards a 4-year contract.
Because it's
when he'd only had 6 months. He'd only been with us for 6 months, and we awarded him a 4-year contract. He had 2.5 years left. We made a rod for our own back and just beat ourselves a bit, financially speaking. That was stupid.
Yeah. No, exactly. But that's it. And it all comes from, lots of good ideas and then sort of last minute panic buys in the transfer window, or whatever it might be, whether it's Edwards' contract, as you say, that's led to it. And I really do think that, with more of a focus on what is actually happening here and now, what do we need, then a lot of the money that we have spent over the 2 years that has been wasted money, let's be honest, a huge amount of the money that we have spent has been money down the drain, could have been saved. I really do. I mean, DMC's just written it here. Look, we've still got however many days left of the transfer window, 8 days or something, but still no right back. Still no right back. He clearly doesn't fancy Walters, and I don't blame him, to be honest. We haven't got a right back. Nigel Longwick isn't a right back. Hakeem Adofin is permanently injured. There's another permanently injured signing, by the way, who I think, again, a bit like Baptiste, is a bloody good player. But what's the point if he's not playing? He's injured. He's not a right back anyway, but he's probably the better option that we've got at the club right now if he was fit. Izzy Jones, not a right back. So it's obvious. Why aren't we signing one? Things like that. It's frustrating, and the kind of the argument that we need to have patience is the most ironic and bizarre thing to tell Luton fans of any fan club in the country. I mean, how much patience do we need? We've been, patience with the stadium, which I get. It's not all of the club's fault there have been delays. Some of it is, some of it isn't. But we've been waiting since the 1950s for a new stadium. I mean, that is taking the piss when you're telling people to be patient with that. And then secondly, be patient with the football. We're in the Premier League 2 seasons ago. We just lost away at Plymouth Argyle in League One while we sit 7th. I mean, just treat us as with the respect that we should be treated as fans, as money paying fans, and just a word on that, on the poor sods that went all the way down to the Devon Cornwall border to go and watch that. I mean, Christ, God knows what time they had to leave home. Stop. Yeah, that narrative and that discourse needs to stop.
Just be patient.
Yeah, hate it. Hate it. It gets my back up every time. Yeah. Exactly.
So Berry Hatter says, "I give you Tom Holmes." That is that January transfer window in the Premier League still pisses me off.
Premier League. That was Premier.
And we're 3 points behind Forest. They were due another point deduction. Everton were due another point deduction, and we just didn't go for it. Absolutely pathetic. That was a little gamble. The fact that the club have said we won't take out any money, we won't take any loans for Power Courts, we will not be in debt, because they didn't want to gamble. And they didn't want to gamble on the transfer window. And now, it looks like, there's going to be a lot more money at stake for Power Court, and we'll be borrowing money for it.
But that's the wording that I don't get. Exactly that. We're going to have to borrow money for it. Of course we are.
We'll gamble for this. We won't gamble for that.
But what do you mean by gamble? Because all right, no fan was expecting us to go out and spend 60 million quid, spunk 60 million quid on a player, were they? Of course not. I think you could have spent 10, 15 million pound, 20 million quid even.
Probably on 2 players.
Which by the way is nothing.
Could have got 2 players, 7 million each, or 5 million each. Pinch them from
Sure.
championship teams, someone that was a goal scorer
Sure.
or someone we needed a defender at that time as well.
We did. We got Tom Holmes. Yeah, exactly that.
We loaned him straight back to
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, exactly that. But how much money is it now cost us to be relegated down the leagues, and how much money is it costing everything else as a result? So, therefore, how much of a gamble is it? Nobody of our age and slightly younger who and obviously young people who've been following the club more recently, I'm sure, but anyone who's lived through the 30-point deduction, has lived through the various ownerships, knows what happens when our club is at stake. Nobody is suggesting that we go hell for leather and do those things. Nobody is. And nobody, I don't think, is arguing that a new stadium is necessary for our club's future either. That's also fine. But yeah, there is definitely a massive middle ground bigger than Power Court that's staring us in the face here that is just not being addressed, and it's so frustrating. So you're right, yeah, that transfer window onwards really has meant that we're chasing our tail every single one afterwards.
From DMC123, I saw it before it was retracted, but it was a good point. Like no one is quibbling the Premier League relegation. That was expected.
No.
It was more the Championship relegation, which was embarrassing. It was completely avoidable, and the statement that came out at the end of the season: soul searching, no stone unturned. We haven't seen the fruits of their labour. We haven't seen any of that. We're seeing the same mistakes over and over again.
Yeah,
we've seen the manager already sacked.
We've got a booklet. Well, we've got a booklet. We've got a PDF. Thank you very much. So that's what we've got out of it. We've got all this soul search. We've got a PDF sent by the club. Well, that's fine, but there should have been a full. I've said this from day one. There needed to be a full and open investigation into what happened, and
there
fans.
There needs to be an audit.
Yeah.
There needs to be an independent audit, not from the trust.
Of course it does.
There needs to be an independent audit, maybe from fans, but they need to bring people in and open up what's been going on. Boardroom minutes to see what people have actually been doing, what's been discussed, the processes taken for hiring managers, maybe even show us that like the detailed designs for Power Court. Actually let people in to disseminate information, and not with like a podcast day, but it doesn't need to be content creators. It could be someone that is a independent auditor, but essentially
I don't think it should be. Yeah,
it needs to be done properly. It all needs to be done properly.
But it's not. But this is it. It felt like false words from Wilco at the end of the season. The fact that it was Wilkinson that made that statement in the first place.
I'll tell you something. He didn't even write it.
Yeah, well, I'm not surprised. But we all know who we needed to hear from at that point, and he was nowhere to be seen.
No.
In fact, we didn't hear from him until the week before Matt Bloomfield got sacked, telling us how much faith they had in Matt Bloomfield.
Yeah. That was a ludicrous interview, that one, where he's like, I know it doesn't look great on the pitch, but you'll never believe what's going on at the Brace. Like,
oh my god,
it's like going to a restaurant.
You've hit my pet peeve number 2 right there.
It's like going to a restaurant and they bring you out some food and it is absolutely inedible, and the manager comes out and tells you, I'm so sorry that your food is utter shit, but you won't believe what they're cooking in the kitchen.
That's exactly it. Honestly,
can I have what's in the kitchen? No, you can't
see it. No. You can't see it. Yeah. Okay. So there's my pet peeve number 2. Number 1 is being patient. Number 2 is how brilliant we are in training. Yeah. That's been spouted at us for God knows how long from managers alike as well. Right. I've just seen the time. We're running over. So should we add any comments before we wrap up?
Yeah. Here's a good one. Well, okay, we'll do the last couple. DMC123. Assuming the season continue as it's going and we miss playoffs, do you think there'll be any changes in any aspects of the club? No. There's my short answer. Mark,
I'm shaking my
You
head.
got a long answer? No.
It's the same one. If it weren't going to change last season, why is it going to change?
It's not going to change. It's going to, the needle returns to the start of the song. We all sing along like before. Phil Clark, LTFC. Good to have you here, Phil. 10 league defeats in League One. 10. It will be 11 by 10 p.m. Tuesday. We are now bang
Of
average
course.
mid-table League One side. Get used to it. Nothing is changing at the top.
Yeah, exactly. No, don't disagree. I don't agree with the fact that we've got bang average players, though. And that there isn't scope for improvement in those players. That's the other thing. Maybe these players just aren't good enough. There are plenty of players there that aren't playing to their potential, in my opinion, as well. And that's part of the problem too. And that's been the case under Bloomfield. It's been the case under Rob Edwards. Seeing a little bit of improvement in players now under Jack Wilshere, but not consistently enough.
Yeah, there needs to be more up top, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And Joe Bode bought for 300k, now loaned out to Woking to continue his development. That's a good comment from Paul Lewis. I work with a Woking fan. I'm looking forward to hearing, the match reports from that guy.
Yeah. I mean, Jack Wilshere talked about the fact that he couldn't go out to another league club.
Yeah,
but it just, which I get in the short term, right? That's nothing we can do about that. Fine. But why did we sign him? And that's what you're getting at, is that, yeah, it's one of those. There's so many players.
Free slot, he's not registered. He's under 21.
No. Yeah. But
one for the future,
I just
eh?
don't get it. Yeah.
We have loads of those.
Is he under 21? Is he? Yeah.
Yeah,
okay,
I think 21.
Yeah, one for the future, just like Dion Pereira.
Yeah.
And Ben Peppel and all the others he'll be playing against us at some point, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah,
as they all have.
Of course,
yeah.
They all catch up with us eventually, don't they? Yeah. But anyway, we've overrun even with the technical difficulties. But yeah, thank you all for listening, and I hope you all have a great week, and whenever you're listening to this, I hope you're having a great day. We'll be back for the midweek catch-up, won't we? Hopefully my voice will be less hoarse. But yeah, everyone, until then, take care. Most importantly, come on, you Hatters.